Hi, this is Dr. Mark Taylor again. This is a video on course organization for DelTech Chem 100 and Chem 110 on D2L. D2L stands for Desire to Learn, and it's the computer platform that DelTech uses to post all its courses online. Aside from emails, you can find all your electronic communications and course materials here. All locations of course materials discussed in this video can also be found in the Welcome to Online Chem 100 or Chem 110 document shown here on the left. Any policy, guideline, or rule mentioned in this video can be found in the Policies and Expectations document shown here on the right. First, you're going to log on to mydtcc.edu using your DelTech username and password and select Courses. Select the semester you're interested in at the top and the course you're taking, and I'm going to select a Chem 100. The organization is exactly the same for Chem 100 and Chem 110. So I select that, and I will get an opening page. The welcome page will look like this. You'll see there's a welcome letter, not to be confused with the Welcome to Online Chem 100 or Chem 110 document I mentioned. This letter shows you what to do first in terms of watching the first video. It also lists the Zoom addresses for both the office hours and virtual tutoring center and my contact information, as you can see. Be sure to check your letter for the current times for each. If you and I schedule off-hours Zoom one-on-one meetings, please use the office hours Zoom address shown right here. So if we go back up, you'll see that at the top of the welcome page, there's a blue menu bar with 5 headings. The content, activities, tools, grades, and help. Content contains the bulk of the chemistry and administrative material for the course, but we'll come back to that later. The activities heading, right here, contains 2 listings that will be very important for you to remember: assignments and quizzes. If you select assignments, you'll see a list of all the lab assignments for that semester. This is where you will submit all of your completed labs along with your safety training statement. Note, this is not where you will find the lab assignments themselves. That's on the content page that we'll cover later. If we go to the to the activities menu and select quizzes, quizzes is what D2L calls all types of testing assessments. So when we select this, we see your upcoming testing assessments, that is quizzes and exams, with the dates and times that each is opened and closed. It's your responsibility to keep track of these open and closed dates, which are also found in your full semester schedule and listed in the weekly lesson plans. All testing assessments will be open for multiple days, starting at 5 a.m. on the opening day and closing at 10 p.m. on the last open date. You might notice that certain testing assessments appear to be missing, like exams 1 and 2 in this case. This is because some testing assessments require you to take other testing assessments first in order to become accessible to you and actually visible on this page. In this example, you need to take quiz 3 at least once as a practice before having access to exam 1, and you need to take quiz 4 at least once before you can see quiz 5, and then take quiz 5 before you will see exam 2, and it will become visible on the list. These requirements are all listed on the course schedule, the full course schedule, and they appear in the weekly lesson plan, so you can act accordingly with no surprises. Now, the tools menu has quite a few items. The ones that you might be interested in are the announcements. This is where I'll post class announcements. Class list, in case you want to see who your classmates are. Discussions, if we ever create a discussion board. Smart Thinking, this is an off-campus 24/7 tutoring service separate from the tutoring centers from DelTech. And a system check where you can make sure you have the right software and hardware on your computer to access all of D2L properly. The next menu item is grades, and you'll see just 2 headings here. Class progress, this is where both you and the instructor can see how much material you've accessed throughout the semester, and the grades themselves. If we open up grades, you'll see that there is not only a list of all your individual grades for labs, quizzes, exams, etc., but there at the top you'll see there's a spot for your overall grade, as well as two what we call composite component grades, the lecture grade and the lab grade. The lecture grade is a weighted average of all your quizzes and exams. Exams have more weight than quizzes. And a lab grade, which is the average of all your lab scores. DelTech policy requires you have a passing grade of 70 on all three composite grades. Your overall course grade, your individual lecture grade, that is quizzes and exams, and your lab component grade. For example, if you've aced your lab grade, but you failed your lecture grade, that is your quizzes and exams average under 70%. DelTech will not let me pass you in this course no matter how high your overall grade is. So keep an eye on the lecture and lab component grades. In addition, department policy states that 3 missing lab grades in the spring and fall, or only 2 missing lab grades in the accelerated summer session, will result in an automatic failing grade for the semester, again, no matter what your overall grade is. And the last menu item here is help. Help lists several different types of assistance and support links, including D2L and technology help, and a link to the Virtual Support Center. Virtual Support Center contains many different services offered to the DelTech community, which I strongly recommend you check out here. I'm going to quickly show it to you. If you scroll down, you'll see there are links to advising, library, tech support, including laptop lending, mental health support, virtual tutoring center, financial aid and billing, emergency services, smart thinking tutoring service I just mentioned that's outside of DelTech, career services, student life and activities calendar, and a disability support. This is for any type of disability. Contact them if you're not sure if you qualify. You might be surprised how many things count as disability, and you can get accommodations accordingly that might help you out. Okay, so let's go back to the content page. So when we select the content page, you'll see a list of folders on the left here. There's a top set of folders and a bottom set of folders. The top set of folders are Overview, Bookmarks, and Course Schedule. Overview is just the welcome page we saw earlier with my contact info and the Zoom addresses. We won't use Bookmarks, so just ignore that. Course schedule. This is not the full course schedule. This is just a D2L heading. I'm able to load into it, if you look at the full schedule, a list of all of the tests and quizzes you're going to have coming up. And these actually are active links as well. You can go and take the quizzes from here as well as from the activities menu under quizzes that I showed you a minute ago. But this is not the full schedule. The actual full course schedule can be found in several places on D2L that I'll show you, in the orientation folder, in the week 1 lesson plan, as a backup in the administrative folder on the content page, as well as inside the text of the Welcome to Online Chem 100 or Chem 110 document. So, moving back up here, we see the bottom set of menu items here starts with a table of contents. And under the table of contents, there are four folders here. The first of these is the Welcome Click Here First folder, which you will open to get started in the class. And if I click on that, you'll see there are 4 items here. 3 starter videos, the orientation video you've probably already watched, this video on course organization, and an academic integrity video, and contact info/instructor bio page that we've already discussed. The academic integrity video is extremely important for your success in this class. I can't stress this enough. DelTech in general and this class in particular have been plagued with rampant cheating, especially during electronic quizzes and exams, and this video was made to address that issue. I can't stress it. anymore. Please do not cheat in this class. You will be caught. You will not be happy with the consequences. I know it's tempting. You may think there's no way I'd know. Unfortunately, nearly 40, that's 40 other DelTech students in this class thought the exact same thing. I have at least 6 methods of detecting cheating on quizzes and exams, so please be honest and always exhibit your highest level of integrity. It's just not worth the shame you're going to feel or the large possibility of failing in this class if you're caught. The academic integrity video also covers details about what resources are allowed and which are not allowed on both testing assessments like quizzes and exams and for labs. The rules for labs are very different. Be sure to take notes, but that information is all available in the policies and expectations reference document that I showed you a minute ago. Okay, so back to the content page, table of content items here. The second folder is the most important to you, the weekly lesson folders. And when you click on that, you'll see a list of 15 weekly lesson folders if you're taking it in the spring or fall, but only 10 if you're taking it in the accelerated summer session. Week 1 typically includes a great deal of orientation materials, some of which we've already mentioned, as well as the lab safety training materials. So let's first open a more typical week like week 2 and take a look at it. Most weekly folders have 3 sections. The lesson plan itself, which is always first, and will tell you all your weekly responsibilities. And then the lecture and lab sections, right here, here's the lecture section, here's the lab section. These contain the actual course materials and links that you'll need to complete the weekly lesson plan. So if I open up the week 2 lesson plan, this is a typical lesson plan, you'll see it's a list of everything you need to do for that week. And it is divided up into several sections, including the lecture section, the lab assignments, and testing assessments. The lecture paragraph lets you see which lecture videos to watch that week, along with the corresponding slides to follow in the unit presentations. The total video time is also listed so you can plan your viewing time accordingly. The next section is the lab assignments, which lets you see which lab to work on that week, what material is covered, what topics are covered for the lab, which lecture videos pertain to the lab, and how many additional short video links are embedded in the lab itself and the lab due date. So in this case, you see there, it's telling you make sure you watch these lecture videos, 1, D, E, F, G, and J, and there are 4 additional short videos links in the lab itself. And the third section is the testing assessments. This lets you know which quizzes and exams are open that week, along with each due date. As mentioned before, all quizzes and exams are due at 10 p.m. on their closing date. So a list of weekly video lectures and total video times, labs, testing assessments, and all due dates can also be found on your full semester course schedule. So let's pop out of this and go back to the lesson plan folder. So as you can see, the remainder of the lesson plan folder are the 2 other folders, the lecture folder, which contains your unit presentations and the corresponding videos for that week, and the lab folder, which contains your virtual or real labs once we're back on campus again. As for the lecture videos, the maximum time corresponds to the fact that the on-campus classes would normally be 4 hours of meeting time per week in the spring or fall semesters and 6 hours total of meeting time in the accelerated summer sessions. So note the videos, which have their times listed in the names, are a bit longer than you might be used to, and that's because these contain numerous practice problems with answers and explanations to help you prepare for the exams. Remember, these videos are your lectures, so please be sure to watch every video lecture and take notes while you're following along with the unit presentations. Closed captions are also available on all videos. Now, you'll notice Both the unit presentations shown here and the labs shown here are available in both PowerPoint and PDF formats. There are two different reasons for that. The unit presentations come in both formats because there are advantages and disadvantages to each. In the case of the unit presentations, the PowerPoint has animation that allows you to stop a slide midway through its viewing. This is useful if you want to practice some of the practice problems, but you don't want to see the answers that appear on the same slide right away. But the PDF version looks much better if you're viewing it within D2L and you're not downloading the actual file. Some people find the printed versions look better from the PDF as well, especially if you're using Macintoshes. The labs come in both formats for a different reason. There are two acceptable methods for completing and submitting your labs, one that does not require you to have a scanner and one that does. Both methods are described in the Policies and Expectations document under How to Submit Virtual Lab Assignments. The non-scanner method is to download your PowerPoint version right onto your computer, type your answers directly on the file, resave the completed lab as another PowerPoint, and then submit the completed lab directly to assignments. The scanning option is to print the PDF version, handwrite your answers on the printed pages, rescan the lab as another PDF format, or some format I can open. Mac has certain formats that are not openable in D2L, so be careful. And then submit to assignments. So you have those two methods. If you do plan to use scan your regular labs, please scan them as a single document with all pages shown in order, right side up, to make it much easier to open and read and grade. If you don't have a scanner and would like to use your phone anyway, there are free online apps like combinepdf.com, that's all one word, Combine PDF, for merging photos together into a single PDF document. While you usually have the choice of submission methods, unfortunately, the lab safety training statement is a single page that has to be scanned or just photographed as a PDF or JPEG file. Now, most virtual lab documents have additional short lab video links embedded in the text itself. As I mentioned this earlier, that you have to click on to watch. Depending on the system that you're using, you might have to hold the Control or Command button down when you click on the link in order to open it. One final comment about the labs. I found that the vast majority of points that students lose on labs were due to either misreading the question or not carefully considering the many helpful hints and suggestions that are found both at the beginnings of the labs, and in the questions themselves. The most successful students are the ones who carefully read these instructions and hints and apply the information to their answers. Now, you'll notice there's no folder for testing assessments in the weekly folders. That's because all quizzes and exams have to be accessed through the activities menu by selecting quizzes or using the D2L version of the course schedule under full schedule, and you can click on those directly. All right, so let's go back to the typical less typical page, the week 1 lesson plan. So let's open up lesson plans and look at week 1. And you can see that week 1 has two unusual folders, an orientation folder and a lab safety training folder. These two folders contain all the video links and documents for the week 1 lesson plan. If you happen to be taking one of the 10-week accelerated courses, this lesson folder will also include some of the lecture and lab folders as well that you'll find in other weeks. So let's open up the week 1 lesson plan. So let's go back and open up the week 1 lesson plan. Let's click on that. And the week 1 lesson plan includes 3 sections. The first 2 are the orientation sections, start here, and then the lab safety training section, right here. which correspond to the items found in the orientation and lab safety training folders in the Week 1 lesson folder, which we'll look at in a moment. The last section is your more typical testing assessment section that you'll find your upcoming quizzes and exams. And as you can see, both quiz 1 and 2 are open during the first week of the semester, so be sure to take those as soon as possible. Going back to the folder of course materials, let's take a look at the orientation folder. The orientation folder contains some items we've mentioned before. The Welcome to Online Chem 100 document, Policies and Expectations document, along with the reference handout set, and all of which you should print hard copies of and have them available for studying for use on any quiz or exam. You can just read parts of the welcome document and skim the rest, since we're covering the course material locations in this video. But this document is also a reference document that provides you with links and phone numbers to many DelTech support services. It is strongly recommended, however, that you read the entire policy and expectations document, since it will be the key to your success on Quiz 1, Policy and Ethics. Have a printed copy handy while you're actually taking Quiz 1. The reference handout set is over 20 pages long and is available in both color and black and white versions, depending on your printer. Print that set out, number the pages, because they're in the order that the material will be presented in the course. These contain an enormous array of useful scientific information, so familiarity with the information on each page of the handout set will help you save precious time while you're taking an exam. Remember, you can use all three of these reference documents along with a scientific calculator on any testing assessment, but nothing else. Okay, so the orientation folder also contains a full course schedule, shown here. Weekly lesson plans. This is the full semester set, so it's all your 15 or 10 week set of lesson plans in case you want to take a look ahead. It also has a full set of practice exams for the entire semester, which I strongly recommend you use to study for each exam and the final, and a copy of the student questionnaire. The practice exams are separated by exams 1 through 4 with mini exams for each of the individual units in the class, along with unit answer keys. Please do not take any exam until you've studied and tested yourself with these practice exams. If you haven't already gotten the student questionnaire by email, download a copy of the blank form, type in the information, and email it back to me as soon as possible. All questions on the questionnaire are optional, but I suggest you include a phone contact just in case of emergencies. You can even provide an extra email address to include whenever I send group emails to the class, but don't worry, your email addresses are always sent blindly so other recipients don't see your email addresses unless you give me permission to share them. The second folder in the Week 1 lesson plan is the laboratory safety folder, which is essential for you completing your laboratory safety training. The first is a 35-minute video from the American Chemical Society on laboratory safety. It's 30 years old, it's getting to be over 30 years old, so it's a bit hokey, but it's packed with useful safety information that'll protect you in the lab. You also need to read the 2-page lab safety rules and become generally familiar with the actual laboratory classroom floor plan for when we're back in the lab in the set building, room 165. This layout shows the safety features of the lab as well as locations for both regular and hazardous waste disposal. Remember though, your instructor will always tell you how to dispose of each type of waste in a lab. Once you completed the safety video, read the safety rules, and quickly reviewed the lab floor plan, you're ready to take quiz 2 on the lab safety and to complete your safety training statement. This is a mandatory legal document that demonstrates to DelTech that you understand the safety procedures for this and any laboratory course. Print out a copy of the statement, check the various boxes, sign it, scan or photograph your signed copy, then submit the electronic version to assignments just like any of your regular labs. It's generally due during the first week of the semester, so check your schedule for the exact date. So let's come out of that And let's take a look at the last two folders on the content page. They're the administrative folder, shown here, and the learning materials folder. These are your backup folders in case you forget the locations of specific documents, videos, or other course materials that appeared in the weekly lesson folders. The administrative folder contains backups of any document that is not directly chemistry related. That is the orientation videos, the course schedule, the contact info, the set of weekly lesson plans, the welcome documents, the policy documents, a course syllabus which lists all the topics we cover in the class, links and info on Smart Thinking off-campus tutoring service, an adjustment to COVID pamphlet down here at the bottom, and links to the virtual support center that I already mentioned, with many free and useful support services for all DelTech students. The other backup folder, the learning materials folder, is where you can find duplicate copies of all your chemistry-related materials. So if you scroll here on the left, you can see it lists all your lecture videos in order by unit, and unit presentations in both formats, lab safety folder with the videos and the documents from week 1, all the labs, again in both formats, a folder of all the lab embedded videos. This is in case you had trouble, that's right here, that's in case you had trouble opening them up from the labs themselves. And a full set of practice exams, again, that I recommend you take before any exam. And the last item in this folder is the optional problem sets, one for each unit, again with answer keys. These are completely optional problem sets in case you wanted even more problems to practice on and study. In closing, if you have any questions, please contact me. I'm looking forward to meeting each and every one of you. Hopefully, all of you can make a brief appearance at some point during our office hours or during my virtual tutoring center hours during the first week so we can meet. Just stop by for a minute and say hi. With that, I thank you very much for your patience and wish you the very best of luck with your success at DelTech.